How's it going, everybody? I can almost guarantee that you've seen this image before. A picture of a Singaporean ID card of a man by the name of Batman bin Suparman. Now, it's pretty obvious why this image is as well known as it is. It's the name. But what you most likely don't know is his story. Today, we'll be looking into Batman bin Suparman and what it truly means to live up to your name. His given name, Batman, coupled with bin Suparman, literally translates to Batman son of Superman in Malay. In Japanese culture, Superman, no relation to the superhero Superman, is actually a common name. Su means good or fortunate in Sanskrit, and names like Superman are not unusual in Indonesian. Batman, on the other hand, is not a traditional given name in any local language, indicating that his parents may have been inspired by the DC Comics hero when naming him. His mother, however, has insisted to the press that, quote, "A person's name is not a laughing matter and it's our business what we name our child," maintaining that Batman is a normal Japanese name. Regardless of their intent, the young man's name, containing two of the world's most famous superheroes, would soon make him a niche internet celebrity. In late 2008, when Batman bin Suparman was still a teenager, a scanned image of his pink Singaporean ID card surfaced online and instantly went viral. The very unusual name on the ID, Batman bin Suparman, caught the attention of early internet forums and humor sites, turning him into an internet sensation virtually overnight. This was during the heyday of internet memes, and online blog sites and tech sites, including Gizmodo, picked up the ID photo, and by the early 2010s, Batman bin Suparman had attracted a dedicated online following. A Facebook fan page in his name amassed almost 10,000 followers since its creation back in 2012. For a while, the man was famous simply for being named Batman bin Suparman, an ironic kind of fame that brought laughs but not much else. Little did the public know that the real story of Batman bin Suparman's life would soon take a much darker turn, one that came into stark contrast with his heroic name. At age 23, Batman found himself unemployed and, unfortunately, on the wrong side of the law. Over the summer of 2013, he committed a string of offenses. In July 2013, he stole his elder brother's ATM card and withdrew about $650 from his brother's bank account without his permission. The following month, on Singapore's National Day in August, ironically, Batman was caught on security cameras breaking into an office after hours. He snuck into the premises and stole a total of around $200 in cash from the shop's drawers. When police identified and arrested him, a urine test revealed that Batman bin Suparman had been consuming heroin, adding a drug offense to his burglary and theft charges. Batman was ultimately found guilty of 3 out of a total of 10 charges, ranging from theft to trespassing and drug use. The judge learned that Batman was a first-time offender, a young one at that. Perhaps owing to just how young Batman was and his lack of a criminal record, Batman received a relatively lenient sentence in comparison to what he could have gotten. In November 2013, a Singaporean court sentenced him to 2 years and 9 months in prison, a total of 33 months behind bars. For perspective, the housebreaking alone could have carried a sentence of up to 14 years in jail. So 33 months was a modest punishment given the potential severity of the charges. Courtroom observers could not help noting an amusing moment during the proceedings when the clerk read out the name Batman bin Suparman. Even the presiding judge, quote, could not suppress a smile upon hearing it out loud. It was a stark reminder that despite the serious nature of his crimes, his identity was still the same one that had caused laughs around the world. Unsurprisingly, news of Batman bin Suparman's conviction made headlines internationally. The irony of a man literally named Batman son of Superman turning out to be a convicted thief and drug offender was too stranger than fiction for the media to ignore. the once viral name was back again in the media spotlight, now linked with a crime rather than just internet memes. After spending about 2.5 years in prison, Batman v Superman was released and sought to rebuild his life. For a few years, he kept a low profile and largely disappeared from the public eye. By 2019, now in his late 20s, he was living a relatively ordinary life in Singapore, a life that included honest work. He found employment as a delivery rider for the food courier service Food Panda, and for a time, it seemed Batman v Superman was content to shed the infamy of his past and the novelty of his name, focusing instead on day-to-day work like any regular citizen. Yet, in early 2019, Batman unwillingly became part of a headline-grabbing incident once again. Batman, then 29, was part of a WhatsApp chat with other Food Panda delivery colleagues, including a 40-year-old rider named Eng Guang Hong. In January 2019, Eng had made a belittling remark in the group chat, calling those who didn't sign up for a new delivery scheme bodoh, meaning stupid in Malay. Batman took offense at the insult and confronted Eng for using that word against his colleagues. The exchange grew heated quickly, and Eng challenged Batman to meet him in person to settle their differences. They agreed to confront each other outside the Food Panda office in Singapore's Somerset area on the afternoon of January 28, 2019. But when Batman v Superman arrived, the situation turned deadly. Eng showed up armed with a motorcycle helmet and a penknife. Without warning, Eng began attacking Batman. He swung the hard helmet repeatedly at Batman, who raised his arms to protect himself. In the ensuing scuffle, a concealed penknife fell from Eng's pocket. Eng grabbed the knife and slashed wildly at Batman's face as Batman stumbled and fell to the ground. Other delivery riders who were nearby rushed to intervene, eventually managing to pull the enraged Eng away after he had landed several blows. When the dust settled, Batman v Superman was left bloodied. He sustained a cut across the bridge of his nose and a roughly 3cm gash on the side of his face, among other bruises and injuries. Paramedics rushed to the scene to treat him, and fortunately his wounds were not life-threatening, though prosecutors later noted that the facial scars might be permanent reminders of the attack. As for the aggressor Eng, he was promptly arrested and charged. Later that year, a Singapore court sentenced Eng Guang Hong to 30 months in jail and 6 strokes of the cane for voluntarily causing hurt with a dangerous weapon. Batman v Superman's story began with the viral spread of a single image, his Singaporean ID card, bearing a name that was just too strange to ignore. Almost overnight, he became a global meme. His name was shared as a joke, and his face was plastered across internet forums and social media. What started off as a meme quickly turned into something much more serious, a life under the microscope, where every misstep, his theft, drug use, and criminal charges was broadcast and mocked worldwide. The man with the heroic name became, ironically, a cautionary tale. But that's not where his story ended. He found honest work as a delivery rider and kept his head down. And when his colleagues were being belittled and insulted in a workplace group chat, he didn't remain silent. Instead, he spoke up, an act of principle that led to a violent altercation which left him with lifelong scars. It could have also potentially costed him his life. In that moment, when he stood up not for himself, but for others, Batman v Superman, often ridiculed for his name, embodied the very values that name implied. Not because he wore a cape or saved the city, but because he chose decency over indifference. Behind one of the internet's favorite memes was a real person who tried to do the right thing, and in his own small way, he lived up to the name that made him famous, not as a superhero, but as a man who stood up when it mattered.